The studio lights blaze down on the set of The View, where the audience buzzes with anticipation. Blake Shelton, the country music superstar known for his chart-topping hits and charming wit, steps onto the stage to promote his latest album. The co-hosts saw Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg, Sunny Hostin, Sora Haynes, and Alyssa Farah greet him with smiles, but there's an undercurrent of tension. Joy Behar, never one to shy away from a pointed question, dives right in, asking Blake about the themes in his new single, Texas. She suggests that some of his lyrics could be interpreted as politically charged, touching on rural values that might not sit well with the show's progressive audience. Blake, caught off guard, chuckles nervously but defends his work, explaining that his music reflects his life experiences growing up in Oklahoma. He emphasizes that his songs are about storytelling, not pushing a political agenda. Joy presses further, questioning whether his lyrics romanticize a lifestyle that some viewers might find outdated or divisive. The audience shifts uncomfortably as Blake's easygoing demeanor starts to crack, his responses growing sharper. He counters that art shouldn't be policed for its perspective, and the exchange begins to feel like a verbal tug-of-war. Joy's tone sharpens, accusing Blake of ignoring the broader implications of his words in a polarized climate. Blake, visibly frustrated, snaps back that he's not here to debate politics but to talk about music. The other co-hosts try to steer the conversation to lighter topics, like Blake's role on The Voice, but the tension lingers. Whoopi interjects with a joke, but Joy doubles down, suggesting Blake's fanbase might be out of touch with urban realities. Blake's face tightens, and he retorts that dismissing entire communities as out of touch is its own kind of prejudice. The crowd murmurs, some clapping for Blake's rebuttal, others booing. The segment feels like it's teetering on the edge, and the producers in the control room exchange worried glances. This isn't the fluffy celebrity interview they planned. Blake, sensing the hostility, leans back in his chair, arms crossed, and says he didn't sign up for a lecture. Joy smirks, undeterred, and the stage is set for a clash that no one saw coming. The audience, now fully engrossed, can feel the heat rising, and social media is already lighting up with clips of the exchange. This moment, raw and unscripted, is about to become daytime TV history. As the show cuts to a commercial break, the atmosphere in the studio remains charged. Blake, still seated, exchanges a few words with Sora Haynes, who tries to diffuse the situation with her trademark warmth. Behind the scenes, producers scramble to figure out how to keep the segment on track. Joy, unfazed, sips her coffee and whispers something to Whoopi, who shakes her head with a wry smile. When the cameras roll again, Sunny Hostin jumps in, asking Blake about his collaboration with Gwen Stefani, hoping to pivot to a safer topic. But Joy isn't done. She circles back to the earlier point, questioning whether Blake's music contributes to cultural divides by glorifying a specific way of life. Blake, now visibly irritated, points out that his songs are about love, loss, and life, not manifestos. He recounts a story about a fan who found solace in his music after a personal tragedy, emphasizing that his work connects people, not divides them. Joy counters that artists have a responsibility to consider their influence, especially in divisive times. Blake, his voice rising, argues that expecting every song to be a political statement is absurd and stifles creativity. The audience is split as some cheer for Blake's passion, while others nod in agreement with Joy. Alyssa tries to mediate, suggesting that music can bridge gaps, but her comment gets lost in the crossfire. Blake, feeling cornered, accuses Joy of twisting his words to fit a narrative. Joy fires back, saying she's just asking him to think critically about his platform. The exchange grows personal, with Blake hinting that Joy's urban-centric worldview dismisses the struggles of rural Americans. The crowd gasps as Joy snaps that she's not dismissing anyone, but Blake needs to check his privilege as a wealthy star. Blake laughs incredulously, saying he's worked hard for everything he has and won't apologize for his roots. The other hosts exchange nervous glances, and Whoopi tries to cut in, but the argument is now a freight train. Social media explodes with hashtags like #Blake vs Joy and #TheViewClash, as viewers pick sides. The producers, realizing this is spiraling, signal for another break, But Blake's next move will shock everyone. The stage feels like a powder keg, and the audience is on the edge of their seats, waiting for what comes next. The third segment begins, and the tension is palpable. Blake, his jaw tight, is clearly done playing nice. Joy, never one to back down, leans forward with a glint in her eye, ready to continue the sparring match. Whoopi, sensing the need to regain control, tries to steer the conversation toward Blake's upcoming tour, but Joy interjects with a question about Blake's public persona. She suggests that his good old boy image might alienate fans who don't share his background. Blake, now at his breaking point, calls out Joy for stereotyping him and his fans. He recounts his childhood in Ada, Oklahoma, where his family struggled to make ends meet, and says he's proud to represent people who feel overlooked by mainstream media. Joy responds that pride in one's roots shouldn't mean ignoring the complexities of modern society. The audience is divided, with some clapping for Blake's authenticity and others murmuring in support of Joy's point. Sonny tries to pivot again, asking about Blake's philanthropy, but the question barely registers. Blake, his voice steady but sharp, says he's tired of being painted as the bad guy for singing about his life. Joy retorts that no one's calling him a villain, but he should be open to critique. The back and forth escalates, with Blake accusing Joy of being condescending and Joy accusing Blake of being defensive. Sarah Haynes jumps in, trying to lighten the mood with a quip about country music's universal appeal, but it falls flat. Alyssa, usually reserved, chimes in, suggesting that both sides have valid points, but the attempt at diplomacy only fuels the fire. Blake, feeling ganged upon, says he didn't come on The View to be interrogated. Joy, with a smirk, says it's not an interrogation, it's a conversation. Blake shakes his head, muttering that it feels more like an ambush. The audience gasps as he stands up, removes his mic, and says, "I'm done with this." The studio falls silent as Blake walks off the set, leaving the hosts stunned. Whoopi calls for a commercial break, and the producers scramble to fill the airtime. Social media is ablaze with reactions, from fans praising Blake for standing his ground to others slamming him for storming off. The incident is already trending worldwide. Back from the break, the hosts try to regain composure, but the absence of Blake looms large. Whoopi addresses the audience directly, acknowledging that things got heated and thanking Blake for coming on, though he's no longer on set. Joy, unapologetic, says she was just doing her job by asking tough questions. Sonny Hostin adds that The View is about honest discussions, even when they're uncomfortable. Sora tries to inject some humor, joking that Blake's exit was more dramatic than a country ballad, but the audience's response is tepid. Alyssa, looking uneasy, says she hopes Blake will return to continue the conversation. Behind the scenes, the producers are in crisis mode, debating whether to issue a statement or let the moment speak for itself. On social media, clips of Blake's walk-off are going viral, with some calling it a bold stand against woke media and others labeling it a tantrum. Fans of Blake flood X with support, sharing stories of how his music has touched their lives. Meanwhile, Joy's defenders argue that she was holding Blake accountable for the influence he wields. The divide reflects the broader cultural rift the exchange exposed. Commentators on X speculate about what prompted Blake's exit. Was it Joy's tone, the pressure of the spotlight, or something deeper? Some posts claim Blake felt ambushed by questions he wasn't prepared for, while others suggest he simply lost his temper. The View's history of fiery moments, like Whoopi and Joy's walk-off during a Bill O'Reilly interview in 2010, is brought up as context, with users noting that Joy has a knack for sparking controversy. The incident dominates online discourse, with memes and reaction videos flooding TikTok and YouTube. The producers, aware of the buzz, decide to lean into the drama, teasing a follow-up discussion for the next episode. But for now, the focus is on damage control, as the show wraps up with a strained attempt at normalcy. The aftermath of Blake's walk-off ripples through the media. News outlets pick up the story, with headlines like Blake Shelton storms off The View after Joy Behar clash and country star versus talk show titan, what went wrong? Pundits dissect the exchange, with some praising Blake for refusing to be lectured and others criticizing him for not handling the pressure. On X, the debate rages on, with users posting side-by-side clips of Blake's exit and Joy's pointed questions. Some argue that Joy crossed a line by making the interview personal, while others say Blake overreacted to fair critique. The View's ratings spike as curious viewers tune in to see the fallout. The next day, the hosts address the incident again, with Joy doubling down on her stance. She says she respects Blake's talent but believes artists should be prepared for tough questions. Whoopi, trying to strike a balanced tone, says the show thrives on real conversations, even when they go off the rails. Sunny adds that the clash highlights the challenge of bridging cultural divides, while Sora jokes that she's still recovering from the whiplash of the segment. Alyssa, more diplomatic, expresses hope that Blake will come back to clear the air. Off-camera, Blake's team releases a brief statement saying he stands by his music and his fans but regrets how the interview escalated. He declines to apologize, framing his exit as a reaction to being misrepresented. Fans rally around him, trending #StandWithBlake, while critics accuse him of dodging accountability. The incident sparks broader discussions about celebrity interviews, with some arguing that talk shows like The View thrive on manufactured drama. Others see it as a reflection of deeper societal tensions: urban versus rural, progressive versus traditional. Radio hosts and podcasters weigh in, with some inviting Blake to share his side of the story. The controversy shows no signs of slowing down, as every major outlet wants a piece of the drama. As the story gains traction, Blake addresses the incident on his social media, posting a video from his ranch in Oklahoma. He speaks directly to his fans, saying he went on The View to talk about music, not to be put on trial for his beliefs. He acknowledges that he lost his cool but says he felt disrespected by Joy's tone. The video garners millions of views, with fans praising his authenticity and critics calling him overly sensitive. Meanwhile, Joy Behar appears on a late-night talk show, where she's asked about the clash. She laughs it off, saying she's used to ruffling feathers and that Blake took her questions too personally. She adds that she'd love to have him back to finish the conversation, but her tone suggests she's not holding her breath. The View's producers, sensing an opportunity, invite Blake to return for a follow-up, but his team politely declines, citing scheduling conflicts. The media frenzy continues, with tabloids speculating about a feud between Blake and Joy. Some reports falsely claim that Gwen Stefani, Blake's wife, called Joy to smooth things over, which Gwen quickly debunks on X. The incident becomes a case study in how quickly a TV moment can spiral into a cultural lightning rod. Commentators point out that The View has a history of polarizing moments, from Rosie O'Donnell's clash with Elizabeth Hasselbeck to Whoopi's walk-off with Bill O'Reilly. The Blake-Joy showdown fits this pattern, amplifying existing divides. On TikTok, users create skits reenacting the argument, with some portraying Joy as a hero and others as a bully. Blake, meanwhile, leans into his music, announcing a surprise acoustic performance to thank his fans for their support. The performance trends online, with fans sharing clips alongside messages of solidarity. The controversy, while divisive, has undeniably boosted Blake's visibility, as his new single climbs the charts. The cultural fallout from the incident prompts deeper reflection in the media. Columnists write think pieces about the role of talk shows in shaping public discourse, questioning whether The View's format encourages genuine dialogue or manufactured conflict. Some argue that Joy's questioning was necessary to challenge celebrities' influence, while others see it as an attempt to shame Blake for his roots. The debate extends to the music industry, where artists weigh in on the pressure to align with certain ideologies. Country stars like Jason Aldean and Miranda Lambert post subtle messages of support for Blake, while pop artists remain largely silent. On The View, the hosts continue to address the incident, with Sunny Hostin writing a blog post about the importance of tough conversations. She acknowledges that Blake's perspective, rooted in his rural upbringing, deserves a seat at the table, but she also defends Joy's right to push back. The show's ratings remain high, as viewers tune in to see if the hosts will mention Blake again. Meanwhile, Blake's fans organize online campaigns to promote his music, framing the controversy as an attack on their values. The incident becomes a flashpoint in the ongoing culture wars, with pundits on both sides using it to score points. Some accuse The View of alienating middle America, while others praise the show for holding powerful figures accountable. Blake, for his part, stays focused on his work, announcing a new collaboration with the rising country artist. His team carefully navigates the PR storm, emphasizing his commitment to his fans over media drama. The View's producers, meanwhile, plan a special episode on music and politics, inviting a diverse panel to discuss the intersection. The episode promises to keep the conversation alive, but it's clear that the Blake-Joy clash has left a lasting mark on both their legacies. Months later, the dust has settled, but the Blake Shelton-Joy Behar clash remains a topic of discussion. The View continues to thrive, with Joy leaning into her role as the show's provocateur. Blake, meanwhile, has moved on to a successful tour, where he occasionally references the incident with a wink to his audience. During one concert, he dedicates a song to anyone who's ever felt misunderstood, earning a roar of approval from the crowd. The controversy has solidified his status as a voice for his fanbase, while also exposing him to new listeners who discovered him through the viral moment. On X, the debate has quieted, but occasional posts resurface the clip, reigniting arguments about who was right. The View's producers have capitalized on the buzz, releasing behind-the-scenes footage of the episode on their YouTube channel, which racks up millions of views. Media analysts note that the incident highlights the power of daytime TV to shape narratives, for better or worse. Some speculate that Blake's walk-off was a calculated move to rally his base, while others believe it was a genuine reaction to feeling attacked. Joy, in a rare moment of reflection, admits on air that she might have pushed Blake too hard but stands by her questions. The hosts agree that the clash was a reminder of the challenges of discussing art in a polarized world. For Blake, the incident has become a footnote in a long career, but it's also a reminder of the tightrope celebrities walk in the public eye. As he prepares for his next album, he hints at a song inspired by the experience, teasing lyrics about standing your ground. The View, meanwhile, continues to court controversy, with Joy Behar at the center of it all. The clash, while fleeting, has left an indelible mark on pop culture, a testament to the power of a single TV moment to spark a firestorm.